Welcome to Reflection Tuesday. The final few verses of Matthew 27, Mark 15, Luke 23, and John 19 convey the decisive defeat which Jesus suffered by the hands of the Jerusalem leaders. In accordance with Deuteronomy 21, verses 22 through 23, there's a strong desire to get the three crucified off their crosses and at least wrapped for burial. The beginning of the Sabbath is less than 3 hours away. That even intensified the urgency. So the soldiers approach the crucified and they begin to break their legs. That's found in John 19. This would hasten death. Without the leverage of the legs, victims could not gasp air. When they came to Jesus, they did not break his legs, for he was not breathing. Instead, a soldier shoved his spear under Jesus' rib cage, likely piercing a lung in the heart. Jesus is dead for sure. Joseph of Arimathea likely issued a request for the body of Jesus even before he died. With sunset and the Sabbath approaching, he needed to act quickly. Pilate, of course, could not sign off on the request until Jesus was officially dead. Once given permission, Joseph takes the body of Jesus and, according to Matthew, wraps it in a clean linen cloth. And then he places it in a nearby tomb. Joseph knows about this tomb because it was his, newly chiseled out of the rocky hill. Whether he intended to keep Jesus' body there for just a day or two, or have it serve as Jesus' first burial place, we do not know. Now you notice I said first burial place because many of Jerusalem and the area had two burials. There was the initial one, in which the body wrapped in linen cloths was laid to rest in a tomb or a cave, and would lay there for about a year. And then about a year later, the family would come in because the flesh had decayed, and they would take the bones of the deceased and place it in an ossuary. Thus, any tomb could have more or one or two decaying bodies within it, and as many ossuaries as the site could contain. This way, generations of the bodies of families could be buried together. Early the next morning, the Jerusalem leaders approached Pilate to request a detachment of troops to guard the tomb, lest some of Jesus' followers come and steal the body. And Pilate grants their request. Now, some have suggested that Matthew invented this story to counter the rumor that Jesus' disciples stole his body out of the tomb. And if Matthew did in fact invent this story, he's not very smart because his story leaves the tomb unguarded for about 12 to 14 hours from the sunset on the Sabbath till early in the morning. And that certainly would have had enough time for them to steal the body and put a new one in its place. If Matthew's story is authentic, which I believe it is, the Jerusalem leaders would have had to ensure that it was the body of Jesus before they had the temple sealed. Matthew 27 and the other endings of the crucifixion and the Gospels end on a note of despair, not hope. Jesus is as dead as a person can be, and so are the hopes he encouraged. The disciples are nowhere to be found, and only a handful of women and Joseph have some faithfulness and know of the location of the burial site. And they're crushed. Yet it is when all hope is lost that God the Father often decides to act. Until next time, keep hoping.